Hello and welcome to Monday's edition of Alienate 8 UK. I'm joined by my co-host Tim.
Hi.
And my Monday guest is Dante Terese, who is an amazing author. We are going to be talking about her books, but first we're going to be talking about the latest drone goings on.
Yes, that's what they're calling it here on the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
They're calling them drones.
Well, they're calling them drones over here, and I've got a real big hang up of them being called drones. I just, it really winds me up, because why can't we just stick to orbs or UFOs or Foo Fighters, UAPs?
Yeah.
I know why. I get the reason why they're not. And I think it's because more people know what a drone is, and they get in. It's a little RC, a Wi-Fi controlled gadget that you can fly. I know because I've got a couple, so people know exactly what they are. So if they bring the word drone in, more people are knowing as to what they are, so they're more alert because they've seen them and all the news about them and everything else.
Yeah.
So then if they use the word drone, there's going to be a lot more sightings. So it's going to be anything in the sky other than a bird, pretty much. And that's my thing.
Yeah, they have it's really very, very chaotic here now. It's the even members of our government, like the governor of Maryland, he filmed a whole group of them over his house, and he's demanding the government for answers. So when members of the government are demanding the government for answers, and he's not the only politician to have done this, and there's a lot of, respected sources like police chiefs and other people within the government that have filmed them. They're not, crazies, and then they're asking the government to be honest with us. So that's the first time I've seen that, the government asking the government to be honest.
Yep. Yeah. No, I know. And it's like, for me, it's like the left hand's not telling the right hand what's going on. I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that happening. But it's, as we was talking off air, sorry, there's a lot of reports that are being shown.
Yes.
That it's like no one has heard of any of these. I know it might be, I don't watch the news, I don't listen to the news, but I watch. I know it's slightly different because don't believe everything you see on social media. TikTok, Instagram,
all the news,
YouTube, and Facebook. Yeah, they're the only 4 social media platforms that I use, other than messaging like WhatsApp and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But they're the main things that I use for, like I say, what I use for the news. And I'm gonna put, if you don't mind, I'll put some pictures up of the latest
Okay.
reports. So I'll read it first, and I'll show you the images.
Yep.
Right. So this is from National UFO Reporting Center of new sightings in the US and across the world. All
Okay.
dots in green are new reports as of Saturday, 12/14. Just so you know, this is a US-based agency tracking international sightings. Many countries would not know of who these are or to report any sightings to them. So this is the first one. So I'm not sure what the red ones are, but they're talking about green ones, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I cannot take. I'm trying to not swear. This is why I can't believe what's being said and what's going on. I know, like yourself, I know people that have seen these and they've told me they've seen it. I know these people, as I'm talking to you now, I know who these people are, and they've given me first-hand accounts of they've seen them flying over the house and they heard low humming noises, right? So that's the US, obviously, if you can see it. I think someone's got a tin of red paint over it, but anyway. You've got the UK in most of Europe. So you got England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. That looks like Holland, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Hungary, Germany, Poland, all around Northern Europe. Going down is like Italy, Greece, Turkey, Iraq, Norway, Finland. Then you're going down into Indonesia. So you got Sri Lanka, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Laos, Maldives, and Malaysia. Not really. A few places like Kazakhstan, Iran, Afghanistan. Not really much more, and most of them are red anyway. There's not very little green on them. Then you've got this one. So this obviously South America. Majority of these are like Uruguay, Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Peru, Chile. But this is what I don't get from all this. Right? How has somebody reported all this within 2 days and they've got all this information on data? How has it become public so quick? And as we were saying off air, the only reports that I've heard about in the UK was the one at Manchester Airport, which came to light in November, which apparently happened in June or July of this year. And the 3 or 4 that was spotted in or around Lakenheath and Mildenhall in Suffolk, on the south, around the east of England. And as I was saying earlier, I actually got to drive around Lakenheath today, all around all 3 sides of the runway, and I'm looking into the airbase. There's no extra planes waiting to take off. There's nothing sat there on standby. There's no extra activity. There's no trucks. You've just got your normal civvies going about, and there's nobody. There's no standby on call.
Well, here, the reports have been coming in for about a month.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much agreed upon, that they started about exactly a month ago, and they started in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Now, people were brushed off about it, and they would say, no, I saw, 10 drones in front of this house. I saw over the military installations and over other sensitive sites that no one's allowed to fly on. And they would see them in groups, and they would see them. And when they were brushed off, like, no, it's just a plane, no, it's just a this or that, then people started filming them and posting them all over social media. And it's at the point now where it's undeniable, especially since the elected officials are seeing them too and posting their own videos.
Yeah.
And at this point, I have a list here. I did some research before I went on the air here with you guys because I wanted to give you the most up-to-date information here.
Yeah.
The sightings, Forbes magazine reports sightings in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Vermont, Maryland, Georgia, California, Ohio, and in New Jersey, it's in 12 counties of New Jersey. But right now the authorities are saying there's nothing wrong, there's no problem. But then they're also saying we don't know what it is.
Yep.
So I love that. I mean, it's like, carry on. There's nothing wrong, but we don't know what's going on. So that's getting a little silly. And the New York Times, which is a very respected news source out here, they interviewed a portrait photographer who saw as many as 15 at one time in a group.
Yeah.
And Fox 5 in Atlanta, that's a channel in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, Georgia is like one of the biggest cities in Georgia.
Yeah.
And they have the biggest airport, definitely. They reported that large, densely populated areas and also restricted areas are being affected. We had a New York airport closed temporarily on Friday evening for 1 hour due to the drone activity. Federal officials still say there's no threat to public safety and that we're all safe, but they don't know what it is.
Right.
How do you know we're safe if you don't know what it is?
Well, this is the thing. So this is my take on it. They know where it is and they're not letting on, because why they're letting everyone carry on.
Well, I think, I spoke to someone who told me that he had seen some around New York City.
Yeah.
And he said that they're trying to avoid a panic because these are primarily being seen in densely populated areas. What if all these people start panicking?
Right. Well, can I read the next statement? So this was put on Facebook by a good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name. I have asked him if he can use it, but he's over in California, so I don't know if he's going to be awake yet because it's only like just gone midday there. So I hope he won't mind. I'm not going to say his name or anything like that. I'm just going to read what's been said. So it's a couple of paragraphs, but this would make a lot of sense and why it's in highly populated areas. So I'm just going to find it from. So this is a breakdown that was given to them by a now deleted Twitter account. Yeah. So, so it's not his. I don't feel so bad now using it without getting his permission. Right. So I'm one of the few groups of people who know exactly what the drones are in NJ, New Jersey. This tweet will likely go into the void as I have no followers, but I'll share it anyway. Please retweet for reaches. What you're seeing are American-made HPGE nuclear detector drones. Now, this would make a lot of sense. They can detect the presence of gamma rays miles away. But what is a gamma ray? That's the stuff we attribute to radiation, electromagnetic waves that penetrate you and can cause cancer. HPGE drones are built to inspect nuclear sites, but these ones aren't. In the late 2000s, the DoD needed to respond to the threat of dirty bombs from ISIS coming into our ports in New Jersey and New York. They've been stocking up on these drones for a while. Some were deployed to the Ukraine when Russia threatened to use the dirty bombs. They look weird because they're heavy and have gyro coolers mounted, as well as giant horn antennas to communicate on wave frequencies that you can't jam. This is where I come in. The technologies these drones use have fewer suppliers, both for wave equipment and high purity germanium. We'll go with that. I don't know. And the same suppliers that are the backbone of the industry. So what they're doing, collecting information of how the public will react to PSYOPs and testing their ability to sweep a port city like New Jersey for dirty bombs. Jersey was chosen because we're the closest port to New York, and New York would be too dense for reliable comms. But why did the DoD? Well, but why is the DoD silent? Again, because it's a scenario where we have a threat of dirty bomb and the public doesn't yet know. The DoD needs to know how the public would react if these drones were deployed to sweep a city. What many don't realise is that the Ukraine is the reason we're here. That was the first time we deployed them in a combat zone. But make no mistake, they're not for protecting the homeland, as the DoD bought hundreds of thousands to act as a swarm capable of sweeping a city. So they're doing it to detect these bombs that are supposedly undetectable. That would make a lot of sense as to why they're being used in a highly populated area. And that's why I wanted to read that out, because out of everything I've read or seen over the last weekend, that's the first thing that stopped me from going insane.
Well, they have said in my research today, they have said that these are not consumer-sized drones.
No.
They've ruled that out. They said that they are not hobby drones, and they are not on any approved flight plan. And there's actually apps here that can tell you the flight plans and stuff.
Yes.
And so you can say that is you could check it right there yourself. However, they are flying above military installations without permission. So, but our recent presidential election, Trump won. And so President-elect Trump said, let the public know and now, otherwise shoot them down. And so we're kind of concerned or not sure if the general public will, decide to shoot some of these things. And if they do, which, over here on the other side of the pond, people shoot a lot.
Yep.
In fact, there was a shooting today that made the news and stuff,
Oh, wow.
There's actually, I read a statistic on this side of the pond that there are more guns than people, and it's been proven accurate. So,
yeah.
If the president-elect, basically told people, go ahead and shoot them, it's a safe bet that someone is going to try to do that. I just hope I'm not standing underneath it when it happens.
Well, there is that. Yeah, because they've been reported to be, like you said before, the size of a small vehicle or a refrigerator.
Yeah.
So they're quite, like, you're looking 8 foot by, 3-4 foot at least?
No, they've been reported to be about 6 feet.
Oh.
And 6 feet, and then some of them a little bit larger. But then they asked an expert on the news out here, how long can a drone stay up without having to go down or go somewhere to get repowered?
Yeah.
And for the smaller sizes and for the ones that the news stations themselves use, and the ones the news stations have also come out and said, those are not our drones. We will give you our flight information. It's not us. They have said anywhere between 10 and 60 minutes is the amount that it can stay up there. It really can't stay up longer than an hour.
Look, like you said, I've got a couple. One's the size of my phone. You get 17 to 25 minutes of battery. I've got a new one yesterday, and it's about 3 times the size of this, and the batteries last just like 27 minutes per battery. So, but I read on Facebook on something I'd wrote. Somebody had said there are drones that can fly for 220,000 miles before needing recharging. I don't know if that's been dropped down, but 220,000 miles.
Can't believe that.
That just want to bang my head when you hear.
I mean, look at
like that.
Electric cars. 300 miles maximum, isn't it?
400 miles maximum on the new batteries.
No, I think you're right. Now, they also have interviewed a lot of the experienced drone manufacturers that supply a host of industries out here. And the first thing that those individuals do once they're on camera is they say, "Stop calling me. It's not us.
Yeah,
It's not one of our drones." But they say that these crafts, whatever they are, that they're going at 60 miles an hour or sometimes faster than that. Whereas the larger drones don't really go above 40 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, the ones I've got can do between 31 and 36 miles an hour on top speed, and it can do a maximum of 8 miles on one battery. I know. I was reading up on it today. That's a solid 8 mile without stopping in less than at 36 miles an hour.
Yeah, so it is kind of it is kind of curious. These are faster than any of the ones that the manufacturers are owning up to.
Yeah.
They fly less than 1,000 feet in the air, and they fly in at night with their lights on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if these are non-terrestrial vehicles,
right,
why are they putting the lights on?
Yeah.
Yeah. They only need the lights to show themselves to us.
Yeah.
That's my whole take on the whole UFO thing. If it doesn't want to be seen, it's not going to show itself. So you're not going to put any light on. You would fly at night. There's less chance of being seen. But you can turn the navigation lights on or off. You have buttons and you can slide lights on, and it doesn't matter. You have a red light when it's taken off, and as soon as it's airborne, you can cut that light out. As soon as it's 1.2 meters off the ground, you can turn the light off.
Yeah, that part is But then they also are finding out that they're not showing up on our radar, which
is it because the size of them, or the metal, or the material that's used to make them?
That's interesting, because I mean, when the news people speak about them not showing up on our radar, they kind of act like it is not a normal thing. So I don't know enough about aviation to counter that.
I don't really, other than what I've read the last few days. But Simon's just put in that MM wave detectors is millimeter wave detectors. So if they're using that, they're not going to be picked up on radar because you can't intercept the frequency. Plus, it depends how high they are. If they're flying at a very low altitude, it's not going to get picked up on radar. So
now, we had one individual in New Jersey, one of the members of our government out there. I think he was but anyway, he said that on December 5th, out there in New Jersey, there were 35 to 55 mile per hour winds, and that these drones were completely unfazed by it.
Yeah, I read that as well.
Yeah. And so they really ruled out something that a standard customer would have with that statistic.
But if they're as big as, like, say 6 foot square, or say 4 foot square, like full volume, and they've got 4 strong motors, a 55 mile an hour wind isn't really going to budge it much, is it?
Might not, but it is going to offer resistance, which is going to take away from the amount of time it can spend up there.
Yes. Yeah, because it's putting more power into its motors to stay airborne. So, yeah, I understand all that. Because someone else had put on the post that I put on Facebook the other day saying about gliders. Gliders, or something about engines on the glider. Like, gliders that have engines, they don't even have motors. They're pulled up on a rope, and then it's released, and all they've got is, I know some have a steering wheel, but the older type have 2 joysticks. and that's for
Okay.
your rudders, your left and right, so you can
Right.
turn left, turn right,
Yeah.
and you can do the tail, and that's all you've
Tail
got.
runs. Yeah.
But that's because I know people that used to do gliding, so I know a little bit about it. But that's why the wings are so big, because you don't have any engines or motors. They may have a motor that the drift that they're in, it'll kick in like a water wheel works in water. There's no actual power to it. It's just the wind hitting it that's making it rotate. Similar sort of thing. So, and they was adamant that gliders had motors. I'm like, no, because that's why I'd never go up in one, because if anything happens, you've got to come down yourself. So it's just not happening.
Yeah, that's kind of a little scary to think about.
Yeah.
Now over here, in California and 8 other states here in the United States prohibit drones flying over property, jails, utilities, defense, and railroads.
Yeah.
But there have been drone sightings in California. That was one of the states affected.
Yeah. But then if they are, but then say, what if they're doing a psyops to see how the general public will react and how many will report them? And just to see if they can get like a statistics of how many people can be asked to come forward and say, I've seen 7 drones, I've seen 2 drones, or people just going, yeah, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe they're trying to drive up business at the pubs because everyone's nervous and they go out drinking.
Yeah.
But Ohio, the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yes.
They had to temporarily close that Dayton Air Force Base in Ohio due to the drone activity.
Ah, right. So you said about the other one being shut down for an hour. I read something else. Don't quote me on it, because I'm just trying to remember what was read. That they're doing some sort of they're flying them, and they're intercepting the commercial flights, and they're taking over their not airspace, their talk time while they're flying. So they're intercepting everything that they're being said. So from the tower to the plane and back again, it's all being controlled by whoever doing the drones. So it's not that they're closing the airports as such. It was just there was no communication from the planes to the tower. But this is another thing. Other people's putting videos up from so-called, I won't say the name of it, US TV media services. And they was stood at the end of a runway filming what looked like drones coming in and on the run, and these planes taking off and landing like every 30 seconds. It was a very busy runway. If they could physically see these drones, surely the media would have contact with the tower saying, don't let anything take off. There's 5 drones to the east or whatever. You're not going to allow a passenger jet with over 200 people take off our land when there's all this other ET activity going on.
Well, perhaps the most serious. Yeah. Well, perhaps the most serious allegation that I have read, and I want to prepare you for it, is that the North Pole, tragically, the employees there were downsized. Rudolph, the other reindeers, done. They have to get other jobs now, and these drones are taking their place. So Rudolph is now unemployed. That bright light that you guys are seeing in the sky, it's not his nose, folks. He's unemployed now. He's been downsized. Their jobs have been outsourced, and the drones are taking over.
So it's that Jeff from Amazon, isn't it? That's who's doing it.
Makes sense now.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Amazon Jeff that's done all this.
Yep. That's Amazon.
But so this was the other thing. People are saying about them. They're coming out the ocean and they're coming out the sea and they're going back in the sea. People are not actually physically seeing him going into the water. They're seeing him coming up. So what if they're on some sort of pontoon or platform and it's just over the horizon, so it looks like they're going in the sea? Sorry to ruin it for all you flat earthers, but if it's coming up, it's going to look like it's coming out of the ocean. There's no videos of any water dripping off these or going back into the water. So it's an optical illusion.
Yeah, people have made an allegation to that effect, but no one has supported it with video.
No, nothing.
No, the lights in the sky, that's been well documented.
Yes.
But the drones coming out of the water, no one has documented that on video yet.
Exactly. But it's like you're saying about having the navigation lights on it. Imagine that we're going out in the Appalachians and we're going Bigfoot hunting, and we put a string of Christmas tree lights around us and plug it in. You wouldn't do it, would you? Look, big ear Sasquatch, here I am. I've come looking for you. You were never going to see it. It's the same thing. It just doesn't work, does it?
No, it's just a little too obvious. It's like they want people to see, hi, there's a dozen drones over your house.
Yeah, but then could it be these like flash mobs? You know, because I've seen a few videos lately that's nothing connected to these drones, but where they're doing, like you're saying about Santa, and they've got the reindeers, and they get all these drones and they send them up in pattern formation, and it goes across the sky, and it looks like a massive Santa with the presents and the sleigh and the deers and all that. What if it's some of that, and some of them have either gone off course, or it's just people that have gone flying them about at some sort of, drone conventions? They must exist.
The only thing that bunks that theory is that these almost every one who's been interviewed has said that these are not the consumer-sized drones. That and these are more than likely to be tremendously expensive, and because the consumer-sized drones, they're affordable, but I mean something that is the size of a refrigerator. Like, where are you going to store that? And then you're going to have to drive it out of your house to let it go on take it off.
Up. Yeah, you got to charge
it.
You got to plug the battery in, and
because I mean, if someone were, let's say, for example, someone were taking one of these drones out from their garage and bringing it to a site to take off, everyone is looking for these things now. And they would notice, you'd have to have a large vehicle to carry that.
Yeah, it's like the old, it's like the old RC planes. I'm talking not the little tiny things. I mean, you could literally sit on top of it, and it takes off. They're like the diesel or the petrol engined ones. So you know what I mean? And they're not small. They're like 7-8 foot long with like a 6 foot wingspan.
But there's so many of them that it would be really hard to conceal. You have to think these people are going to have to remove it from a garage or wherever they are storing it. And they are going to have to bring it to an area where they can lift off. But these are densely populated areas. So maybe they have to drive and they have to go to like a baseball field or something like that. That's in a suburban area, but still people are outside walking their dogs and stuff like that. Someone is going to see it.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah,
but then this is
really
what brings me back,
aren't they?
Yeah, but this is what brings me back to. It must be government then, because the government is saying, "Oh, we don't know where it is, but just carry on, just keep doing what you're doing."
Well, that reinforces that argument, I think, also because where do they go after they're looking at your house? Because eventually they are going to lose power. Yeah. So they have to go back somewhere. And
on a normal drone, I don't know if you know, there's a default setting that once it gets to a certain percentage of battery, it automatically returns back. And the one I've got has got obstacle avoidance on it. So it's got sensors all around it. So as it's flying back, if there's trees or buildings, it'll go up, down, round. And I was flying it in the back garden before, and if I walk up to it, it'll bleep and say obstacle in the way, and then it'll move back or it'll move to the side. So it is quite not self-aware, but with the camera, it can pick up when there's stuff going on around it. So if that needs to fly back without someone watching it, it can do it. And this is on a domestic drone, would you call it?
Yeah, and so you know, that leads you to think a lot of things. Like this thing, as if I understand you correctly, it can detect objects around it and then maneuver back to its home thing. But someone's going to see that.
Yeah. Because I was landing mine before and it wouldn't land because I'd stuck my foot out to see if it would land on top of my foot, and it wouldn't because it wasn't a flat surface. And as soon as I moved my foot back, it was like no obstacle and came and landed.
Right.
So, and it was about, I'd say 4 foot above my foot. So it was quite near, but still quite far for the space it needed to be in.
Yeah, I still wonder because like if some of the areas that these drones are flying over are like, and if you incorporate how long their projected battery life is, like if you say, okay, that thing can only stay up there for an hour.
Yeah.
So that means they have to fly from somewhere to get to that place where they're noticed. And then they have to go back. Do they have enough time?
Well, this is the thing. So say it is 60 minutes for each battery. So if that's got 10 minutes of monitoring, that's going to be the furthest point it can be is 20 minutes away. No,
from
not
its
20.
destination.
25 minutes. 25 minutes. Come over, do some filming. 25 minutes back. There's your 60 minutes.
Well, that makes me wonder if it's going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Which they're saying it is. Okay, and it has 25 minutes to go somewhere. That means that it will take it. All right, that means 25 minutes there and then 25 minutes back. So the area that it has to lift off from has to be 30 minutes away because we have 5 minutes of launch time in that, right?
So you're looking at around 25 mile max at 1 minute a mile.
Well, that automatically, New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the nation. So that rules out so much because they're going to have to take off from somewhere. And the possibility of someone seeing that, either the takeoff or the back down is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Bim Jim's just put in the chat that a pilot reported drones taking off at Mach 5.
Huh.
So I don't know how fast Mach 5 is. That like 700 miles an hour or something daft like that? Probably more than that.
Mach 1's 700 miles an hour, isn't it?
Oh, is it? So it's like,
I think so.
That's why I'm getting confused. So it's about 3,000 miles an hour it's taking off at. You wouldn't even see it move.
But then when you see
extraterrestrial if it's doing that.
Yeah.
Well, then when you see the videos of them, they move around slower than the planes.
Yeah.
You know, they're going 60 miles an hour. So for someone to sort of say that it can go like 7,000 miles an hour and then do its surveillance at 60 miles an hour, it's a little strange. Maybe.
Yeah, just a little bit. But Og's just put this. So this is Elaine, the moderator, and she's just put, seen people take photos from airplanes and that they're traveling in and it's moving alongside them. So I'm not disputing that. I'm not saying that people are not doing that. But these photos that people have taken whilst on commercial flights or even business flights, whichever, it doesn't matter. How do we know when these videos or photos were taken? Have they been taken in the last month, or was he taken 4 or 5 years ago? Do you know what I mean? There's no credence as to when the footage was taken. There's no timestamp on it. There's no date. All you've got is that person's. I did this yesterday. Well, can you prove it? No, I didn't do a timestamp.
Well, but also, I mean, every time I've flown on a plane, they tell you to turn your phone off.
Yeah.
So does that mean that you're going to be able to photograph while you're on that plane?
See, the only time I've used my phone when I've been on a plane, it was when I flew over to America.
Right.
And I had to turn my Bluetooth off. Now I flew with Norwegian Airlines. So I could have my phone on, and you could actually log into the plane's Wi-Fi.
Wow.
But you couldn't send it or receive any messages until you was overland. You couldn't do it while you was transatlantic.
Okay.
I don't know
But
if
were
that
you
changed,
able
but-
to take pictures? Were you able to take something like a video if there was a Martian outside of your plane or
Oh,
something?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you have more
This
recent.
was five and a half years ago. This was nearly 6 years ago. So
Okay.
Yeah, you can
'Cause,
use a phone in Britain on a plane. I've done it recently. Once it's in the
Okay.
air.
All right. Because I know that, you know, they go through this little announcement of turn your phones off and everything.
oh, that's for takeoff and landing, so it doesn't interfere
Okay.
with the
Yeah,
instruments.
just for takeoff
So
and
the
landing.
Now I
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, because that's the manual part of the flying. Yeah.
So that, I guess maybe it is possible that someone took a picture of that. It could be.
Yeah, but
You know?
there's no references to when it was taken or where it was, or do you know? There's no
Well,
timestamp.
logistically, they would also have to be going traveling at almost exactly the same speed for you to get a photograph of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just checking something.
Hmm.
Someone's put something in the chat, and I just want to double check on one thing. Be 1 second. So he said that they've been reported at going up to height of 55,000 feet. Only fighter jets go that high, but a commercial plane typically flies between 30 and 42,000 feet, anything between 6 and 7.2 miles. Now, when I flew to Turkey, we was at because I didn't like it, was at 6.6 miles. I'm like, can you get rid of the sixes, please? It's too close to 666. And I hate flying as it is. So it's like, I think I made myself go to sleep because I started like overthinking about it. But I know on average you fly around between 6.5 miles high, a commercial flight.
Well, another theory that's kind of bouncing around here is that we have at this point in time in our history, planet Earth has a couple of billionaires that have rockets.
Yes.
And that have a lot of capabilities with these rockets in space and stuff. Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and stuff like that. So, who's to say if they have a private fleet of these smaller drones as well?
Well, this was the thing. Is there's that other thing that I was reading today. I knew should have took a screenshot. Excuse me, but I didn't. And it was saying that they're doing these psyops to check the public's reaction, this, that, and the other. But it's also they're doing some unannounced satellite, putting satellites into the atmosphere without telling anyone that they're doing it.
Okay.
So it's like whether it's part of that or a distraction away from that, I don't know. So it's like, oh, look at all the drones over here, but over there we're sending 10 satellites up, so don't look to the east. Do you know what I mean? So is it a distraction thing of what's really going on? Because they're very good at distracting, I suppose, smoke and mirrors, isn't it?
Well, isn't it what Madness said? Hey, you don't watch that. Watch this.
Watch this.
Yes, they did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We love a bit of madness.
I went watching them not so long ago.
Yeah.
They're really good
Brilliant.
live. Yeah, never thought of it like that. They're hidden in plain sight. Again, that's one of my favourite sayings.
Yeah.
But it's like, so if they're doing all this, say they are using these drones for doing like checking the public's reaction to stuff. Apparently they're doing some big public display between I think it was the 15th of December and Christmas Eve.
See, I never understood the need to distract the public right now, because this is the first time in hundreds of years where Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and then there's one other major holiday, all fall together on the same day.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? I mean, granted, the celebrations are different. Like Christmas, we're all running around buying presents and then we're making a feast. But Hanukkah, there's traditional foods and stuff like that. This means that everyone is like really busy, that they are already really distracted. We don't need the drones, thank you.
No. Oh, are they just going to project a giant Jesus up in the sky or something? But it would make the only, that would be, out of anything, that would make sense if nothing else.
Well, it would make more sense than someone buying a slice of toast that looks like it has the burned face of Jesus in it for like $3 million at an auction.
Yes,
You know,
it's better than the back of the dog's bum.
Right. Yeah, that was a little bit much. Yeah.
But it is. It's just there's got to. A lot of people are saying it's like, oh, that's it. It's the end of humanity. It's the end of this, that, and the other. And to be honest, I'm just not buying it.
Well, it's great for the pubs. That's all I gotta say. I mean, the pubs, and out here we call them the bars and such like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Because everyone wants to gather and everyone wants to have a drink and everyone wants to sort of talk about it. It's a big buzz. It's a big excitement, So yeah. I mean, I'm sure for all we know, some of these beer makers and brandy and whiskey makers, they're the ones throwing the drones up there because they want people to drink more.
Yeah. Or StreamYard and YouTube and all these other streaming sites. Come on, get some drones out. We'll get all these different live streams going out and chat about it around the world. Get everyone talking.
Yeah.
Is it that? Is it they've noticed that people aren't being as social as they used to be? Could it just be something as simple as that? Let's get everyone back to going out and socializing, whether it's face to face or virtually.
Yeah, because people for a while there, everyone had to become hermits during COVID, during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And so maybe this is just a way to tell people, get out of your apartment, go downstairs, go across the street to the local bar, go to the pub and stuff and talk with your neighbors. And then they've got like 6 televisions in the bar. So you could watch it on all 6, and then,
Yeah. And don't forget to look up at the sky on the way there and on the way back.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So, but then the next thing is all these drones. I'm just looking at what people are putting in the chat as well, that they're not all the same. And this is my take on a lot of the UFOs that are spotted. I know people that take UFO reports, people that work for MUFON, and there's BUFOG, there's one in the UK. There's like 3 or 4, and I know the people that run them, the ones in the UK. And very rare you get the same report of an alien aircraft, or unknown aircraft that's the same as the last report. That's the same. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's one of the points that one of the law enforcement people in New Jersey made, is that they would find out that there was this one little street in this one town in New Jersey, and all of a sudden everyone calls and says they see the drone. And then a block away, everyone starts to call. And then a block away, everyone starts to call. So they could actually map out the path of these drones by all of the incoming phone calls.
Yeah. So there's like, so there's like 2,
like Phoenix Light.
So say like 200-300 people are saying they've seen all these drones, and it's just one drone that everyone's seeing.
Right.
So where all these, where you've got all these,
sometimes they do
red,
see a group.
Yeah. But where you got all these red and green dots, it's just like one that's just going across.
Yeah. That is funny.
But it's like Deadfish has put. He goes, the one that he saw was a glowing orange fireball with no craft above it. So for me, that's not a drone. That's an orb. That's an orb that's emitting its own light or energy. Because I've seen plasma balls just dropping from the sky from a bigger looking craft.
Wow.
I've seen like nuts and bolts UFOs, like direct, just hovering
from the
directly
side
above
ones.
me. I've seen one zip across the sky, light up. The sky opens up, it goes through, and everything closes behind it. Each UFO encounter that I've had has been completely different to the last one. I've never had two the same.
Wow.
So I don't know what's going on, to be honest. I'm just sick of people calling them drones because.
Yeah, I mean, call it what it is, an unexplained, unidentified flying object.
Yeah,
I mean,
why don't we? I said today, why don't we call them FVs or FCs, flying vehicles or flying cars?
Yeah.
Because how do you know it's not got wheels on it or tires?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why no one has seen them being driven out and stuff like that. Maybe they land on their wheels and then they drive.
Yeah. Could be because you've got
that's a great hypothesis.
Them little, they look like the little smart cars that twist, that become the flying cars.
I saw one of those little smart cars out here, and the part of the country I'm in right now, everyone has these pickup trucks that keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And you actually need a ladder to get in them. It's really funny. But it was hysterical because there were so many of these pickups on the road. And then there was this one little smart car. And I looked at the smart car, and we've got a large chain of stores out here called Walmart that you possibly have heard of.
Yeah.
And I have seen bigger shopping carts in Walmart than the smart car.
Really? Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
And I bet you could put that smart car in the back of one of the pickups and it won't even touch the sides.
No. No, that's the thing. I mean, when years ago, the way that you were to be the man of the hour, I mean, the one who gets all of the females' attentions and stuff like that, is to have the little red sports car.
Yeah.
That was the litmus test. That proved that you were the guy, if you had a little red sports car. And even Prince sang about it. He was like little red Corvette,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But now it is, you have to have a pickup truck that is, 2 stories tall. You need to get a fireman's ladder to get in there. And,
Yeah, you got to have the monster truck wheels on it.
Yep. And then you have it pushed up from the monster wheels. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the suspension. And then get all the hydraulics fitted onto it. So you can go
I mean, all you need now is wings. And then,
exactly.
there you are.
Yeah.
Drone. The only problem is that those things weigh about like 10,000 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine trying to fly that.
Yeah.
And you can only get about 4 miles to a gallon. So I don't think it's a drone.
Yeah. No, as soon as it takes off, it'll be landing again.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is the thing. It's just, I've been looking, I actually typed in latest drone news, and you've got, and it's all the crappy papers. You've got all the locations and mass drone sightings in the last week. That was Independent, Daily Mail, BBC, and that's it. It's them three over and over with similar stories than the last one that they've just printed. I don't trust the media anyway.
Well, I like some of the fringe reporting on YouTube. That can kind of be interesting, people, that I find that kind of interesting. They have this one gentleman, and he has a degree in psychotherapy, and whenever there's a popular story, he reports on it. But what is the correlation between psychotherapy and drones?
And
well, he did a report,
Yeah. Yeah, they just, all these same ones are just saying, where's it gone? Sorry, 1 second. I've lost it. Numerous drone sightings in New Jersey don't pose safety concerns, says the governor.
Yeah.
It's just,
at first he said that, but now he's demanding the federal government come clean and everything. I think
because he's been around his house watching him. That's why.
I know. Yeah, it's just kind of funny. I mean, for about a day or two, they're like, "Oh, don't look at that. There's nothing to see up there." Now they're like, "Okay, we demand the government be transparent," and these are the government telling us that.
Yeah.
So that's very reassuring.
I know, but it's just, can we all stop calling them drones and call it? Just go back. UAP will do. Don't even have to be UFO or Foo Fighter.
UAP.
Just go to UAP. Don't call it a drone. It's not a drone. A drone you can buy from a shop on the high street. No. Yeah, and if they can do
unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah, if you can fly 22,000 miles on one battery, that's definitely not one you can buy off the high street.
Yeah, definitely. The NYPD uses drones.
Yeah.
And when I lived in Georgia, there was this car that had an accident and the driver fled. And so the cop just opened up the trunk of his car and the drone chased him down.
Oh, really?
I saw that. I thought, oh, wow, that's so cool. And then I'm like, no, actually,
cool.
it's not. I live in such a high crime area that they have these things.
I don't know. It's cool that it makes their job easier for getting the right people. But
they can the drones can go above the traffic and can give the police, real-time location as to where these people are.
Yeah, but I know Air Sea Mountain Rescue use drones, like when someone's felt like on a cliff or down a ravine or something, so they can fly the drone out and they can access it and see how easy or difficult it would be for someone to get down to get to them. So I know they use it for like emergency services, which that is a good idea.
The industry that uses the drones the most is the real estate industry, because they can have that drone do a 360-degree turn without the handshaking, and make the room look a lot bigger than it is.
See, I never knew that. But I know somebody that uses a drone for their job. They do bolstering on caravans, on static homes.
Okay.
So they'll fly around and then he can assess it all and see what work needs done and how much it'll cost. It just makes his job easier to work out how to do it.
Roofers do as well. Roofers do.
So they're not having to climb up and have a look, and they can just fly up, take photos, and then come down. Yeah. So that's they're drones.
Yeah, I saw that out here. Recently, they tore down a building, and they had a drone fly over it as they were doing it. Yeah. It's probably a lot better than having someone be up there while they're tearing it down.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like, well, Tim knows, because the first drone that I got from Tim, and the reason I got it, because when we go out doing investigations and there's a place that we go to that's local because we live in the same town. It's it's a consecrated church, so it's just the walls of a church, but they still use the grounds for burial. So we want to go over, because there's a lot, even though it's only a little area, there's quite a lot of different types of activity. So I want to fly it up, and while we're doing like an EVP, have it so many meters above us. So as we're talking, if we pick anything up, see if this picks anything up on the video that we can't see, that say either behind us or on on the other side of one of the walls that we can't see through. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons that I got it. So as we're doing our, I suppose, experiment to try and contact whoever's there or whatever's there, we can get a full look of exactly what's going on at the same time and compare the two to see what we can come up with. And that was one of the main reasons for me getting it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we've just had crap weather, so I've not been able to do it. We went out on Saturday for a couple of hours, and it was too cold, wasn't it? We went to some old RAF bunkers.
Got some good results, though.
Yeah. So he was down in the bunkers with Tony, and I'm outside practicing flying my drone and seeing if I could pick anything up. But It was a good day. It's
Okay.
just getting used to getting it set up and doing it. So next time when I go, we'll have a better idea of how we're going to do it. So, but yeah, that was my initial reason for getting the drone, for doing stuff like that, like when I go out investigating, really.
That's cool.
Yeah. So for everyone out there, please stop calling them drones. Just call them UAPs, orbs, whatever you want. Big balls of dust, I don't care. Just don't call it a drone.
Agreed.
Yeah, thank you. It's just, yeah, it's too annoying. It's just my pet hate, I think, more than anything. So, yeah. Oh, it's like Johnny Topside. Evening, Johnny. He's just put, it's crazy how many people are scared of lights in the sky than being forced to pay taxes. That is true, though, isn't it? It's like, yeah, take me money, but I don't want to go near that light.
Yes, indeed.
It just doesn't make sense. So, yeah, it's weird. Right. So, enough of drones, because that wasn't the original non-drones, because that wasn't the reason for you to come on tonight, because you are an author.
Yes.
And we're going to be talking about you've got a couple of books, haven't you?
Yes, I do. And I have another one coming out on New Year's Day. Books.
There we go. So you've got The Base, and what's the other one? Sex, Death, and Diane. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about those. But we did agree before we came on tonight that do the first half, get the drone situation out of the way, and then we'll...
He's calling them drones now.
I know. It's the last time, I promise you. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll do a quick 2-minute break, and then Dante will come on and talk about... because the novels, aren't they? They are fiction, but based on true events.
Well, this one, Sex, Death, and Diane, is based on my life. I had the privilege of growing up in the 80s when there was great music and all kinds of stuff happening.
Yeah.
And and then The Base is a series, and we are going to be adapting it to film.
Oh,
and
exciting.
Yeah. And book 2 comes out on New Year's. Yes. And so there's a lot going on with this. It deals with these are 3 military scientists here, and they are working as fast and as hard as they can to finish a top secret invention before the military's deadline. And while they're doing that, spies and thieves are working just as hard and fast to steal the invention. And the invention is a type of a drone, but it doesn't fly.
I was going to say it doesn't involve drones. Please tell me it doesn't involve drones.
Nothing flying, sir.
Good. And then Jason, sorry, just before we go for a break, I've got to read this because it is weird. It's a bit of a coincidence since you got your new drone, Andy. I think you're behind all of this. But do you know what? We've been waiting to go out because the weather has been so bad. We've had like wind and rain, just pure rain, hasn't it, Tim, round here? There's been
storms.
It's just been awful. It was that bad the other day. We had to get a delivery of 2 items from the shop because it was that bad to go out. I'd rather pay that little bit extra and get so
lots of floods in your family.
I won't even get dressed, let alone going out with the drone. So didn't happen. Right, so we'll do a quick break and then we'll talk about the books.
Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna just step away from my desk for half a second.
Yeah. So it'll be 2 minutes 19. See you guys shortly. Get your questions in, everyone. See you soon. Hello, and well, two of us are back anyway. So,
Okay.
Thank you for everyone hanging about. Also, this is going out on Podcast Player, so you'll be able to listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and any other wherever you listen to your podcast. So this will be available from about 11 p.m. tonight. So that's it. So, thank you. So we're going to talk about your books now. So which one do you want to talk about first? It's entirely up to you.
Okay, I guess why don't we go in chronological order? This was the first book that I put out.
Yes.
It's called Sex, Death, and Diane.
Yeah.
And I had the privilege of growing up mostly during the 80s, I guess. That's when I graduated high school.
Yeah.
And it's about two best friends. And let me see. One of them, they both are growing up in this small town where nothing ever happens. And so one of them goes to the big city to go to college, and one of them stays in the small town, and something happens.
Oh.
Oh.
And and you can't tell anything else because there'd be no point getting the book.
Well, but it's just a lot of it is just sort of like a love letter to the 80s, because it was just a time where the creativity was just exploding everywhere. And there were so many different bands, there were so many different styles of music, there was just everything was just exploding around that time. It was a great time if you were into the arts and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that was when the story was set in. And it was also a time of social revolution, because that is when AIDS started to come out.
Yeah.
And then with that came, demonstrations and voices for change and stuff like that. And just people really wanted to change things then. And they came out in big numbers to do it. It was just, especially when you come out of the cocoon of like a very, very small town where everyone knows you and everyone knows everything about you, to go into that time. Even if you were in the small town, just the awareness of all these things that are happening. I mean, massive demonstrations, Wall Street getting shut down, things like that.
Yeah.
So that it was just every day just brought, and on just tons of new events and new ideas and stuff. And so it was really exciting time. And like I said, something happened.
And you're not going to tell us anymore. You're going to have to buy the book to find out.
It's on Amazon, which is also on your side of the pond. That's where my books are.
There's a link.
And it's also on my website, which you had on the screen earlier. The links are there.
Yeah, I've put that in the description. So if anyone goes on to YouTube afterwards, they can just click on there. It'll take them straight to it.
And but that was a lot of fun to write, because just remembering some of those things, and everything has changed so much now. I mean, there are so few bands,
and like real bands. And
not just that, but I mean, all of the acts that were coming out from your side of the pond, they all had these fantastic hairstyles.
Yeah, like Duran Duran.
Right.
I can't think of. It's only because I was listening to him the other night.
Yeah.
Is it no? What's he called? He did Never Ending Story. Oh, Kajagoogoo. Yeah. He was he down the road from where I live now. He was from Aylesbury,
And then A Flock of Seagulls, and Annie Lennox had her hairstyle, and
it was a new romance era, wasn't it? Like Adam and the Ants and Bad Manners, like you said before, Madness.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was, now we don't really have the bands, but we also don't really have the hairstyles.
No.
Yeah. What happened?
Yeah, it just went, didn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, I'm kind of glad because I don't want to want one of their styles now.
I mean,
I
people,
used to have long hair.
yeah, people used to put Jello in their hair to make it stand
Yeah.
up, and mohawks and
Yeah.
all these other things, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
then they
did.
would put all these things on their leather jackets too. They would
Oh,
paint
the
them,
badges. Yeah.
and lots of metal and stuff. That must make a lot of noise in the dryer, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
no.
But it was weird that you mentioned the 80s because we was laying in bed the other night. I was listening to some 80s music,
Mhm.
and like there's 5 tracks, and I knew every single track word for word from beginning to end. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't believe I know all that. Yeah, I don't know what I did 20 minutes ago.
Yes. I
Yeah,
think there was something
just,
subliminal in that music because
there's got to be something.
right. I can attest to the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
Yeah, 'cause it's like,
you hear the song, you hear a song, don't you? And it takes you right back to what you was doing when that song was out.
where
yeah.
you was,
Amazing.
smell, who you was with,
Where you
everything.
was. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, there's
yeah,
also some amusing things that we thought were amusing hijinks at the time when we were in our last year of school. That was in the book Sex, Death, and Diane. Like
yeah,
you would pile everyone into a car and then you would just go somewhere and just do something kind of nutty. And
yeah.
some of the things that we did back then, I mean, I don't know, they just don't do that anymore. I guess
No, I
everyone's
think,
on social media.
yeah, I think there's too many laws against stuff like that now as well.
Yeah, we wound up ruining it for the next generation, maybe
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
just a bit.
yeah. I won't go
I
into
was
too
doing
much
this in
detail. Go on.
I was doing this in the 70s, not the 80s, though.
Okay.
80s and 90s.
And then, the songs that were on the radio, like Stairway to Heaven, like how many minutes is that? That's got to be like 7 or
Oh,
8.
Yeah, there's a lot longer, weren't they? They weren't the standard 3 minutes or whatever it was, like the airtime play,
no.
what you used to have.
And there was no auto tune on the voices.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so that was very, very different to actually hear. The fun part is when you would go see the bands live and they would actually make mistakes, and it
yeah,
was cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And sometimes people would sing a little off key, and that was cool.
yeah.
So not
But
everything was scripted.
no, I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
That's the best way to be, just
Yes.
as it is, just natural.
Yeah. On
Because
top of the pops in Britain, they started miming, didn't they?
oh,
For
they
the
did
music,
day
rather than
one, wasn't
playing
it?
it live. Pardon?
Oh man, um so you have Milli Vanilli happening there too.
Yeah,
That
and
was
Yeah,
a big scandal.
but there was a lot of bands that were like, "No, we want to sing live," and they're like, "No, you've got to lip sync," and they just stand there and they'd be chatting to like the people that like the public they've got in to do
yeah.
like stand at the front and dance, and they just stood there and they'd be leaning over talking to him as it's like their time to sing, and it's
That's
like,
Yeah.
hilarious. That's
and then
great.
I think it got to the point where they didn't they start having them singing live because they just weren't, no one was
I
up
don't
for it
remember.
thinking.
When
So
when the music went crap, as I call it, I stopped watching it then.
yeah.
I used to like Jules Holland. Jules Holland, he was great.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. I
Big
love all that
shows.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Well, so
Mm.
the second book that I have here, which has some local actors who graciously modeled for the cover,
Yeah.
will hopefully be. I'm hoping to make this a streaming type series.
Oh
So I'm adapting it to a screenplay.
yeah.
This is called The Base. And if you have a conspiracy, I have a theory.
Oh
Yeah, yeah. It
Ah,
has a lot of intrigue built into it, but these 3 military scientists, like I may have explained, like they are making an invention, and I will say that it is a type of drone, but it does not fly.
Okay.
But there are spies and thieves who are trying to steal that invention.
Right.
And there's so many people that would want something like that. I mean, it could be a foreign government, it could be the cartels, it could just be a competitor, who knows? But there's so many people who would want the newest, greatest, most top secret toy there is that the military's inventing. And so what could possibly go wrong?
Well,
Well,
I'm guessing everything goes wrong, or not
oh,
far off.
yes, it is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And there's some very quirky characters. Now, I'm the daughter of a research scientist, and as you know, brilliance and madness are just the very centimeter apart.
Yeah.
And so what happens at this particular base is, and this is the base that if the military notices that you have some fantastic aptitude or something, at the end of your 3 years where they rotate you, in this country, they rotate you like every 3 years.
Right.
Instead of sending you to, the typical bases out there, they send you to the one that they send the special people to.
Ah.
And so your coworkers are going to also be a little special.
Yes.
They're going to be obsessed with some tiny little detail of their expertise.
Yeah.
And so every couple of weeks or months, a new special expert in their field is going to wander onto your workplace, and you're all going to have to welcome him, and you're all going to have to work together, and you're going to get a brand new assignment from the military. And the military is going to tell you that you're going to have to make a device, and you're going to have to make it quick, and it's going to have, and they give you a list of attributes that it's going to have.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if the work situation in your neck of the woods is like it is over here, but here, when they tell you that you're going to get a new coworker, most of us kind of greet that announcement with a mix of hope and dread. Like, what is when you walk through the door?
Yeah.
Yes, same.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, universal. So you don't really know who's coming through the door. You don't know if they're going to be stable, and if they're going to be nice, and if they're going to do the right thing or not. But all of you have to pull your collective resources together and make this device that has these 10 specified attributes before the deadline. But there are spies and thieves who know that this is the base where you can get all kinds of brand new, cutting edge, top secret, super sonic devices. And so they're trying to steal that from you while you are trying to do your job. Can make it a little tough.
Yeah. So I don't want to sound, not that I know, but I don't want to say something and then give anything away. But I'm guessing some of these new people that are coming in are not new people as such.
Well, they're experts that have been, moved over there from another military base.
Yeah.
That they were noticed to have some type of exceptional area of expertise. Like if I show you the cover over here again, the gentleman who's wearing the hat, who's being played by an actor, Roy Lee, but he's portraying Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark has the ability to animate anything.
Okay.
So let's say, for example, you make a little robot.
Yeah.
He can, whatever it is you make, I mean, that guy can animate it. He knows how to make computer programs, and he knows how to make that specific little thing that you made speak on confidential communication channels. Is this starting to sound like our drone scenario that we have going on here?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Maybe I forecasted that. But anyway, I don't know. But in the middle, we have an actor, and he is wearing a very long white lab coat. And that particular actor is Dennis Liverani. And all these guys had been in an Amazon streaming series out here.
Okay.
So they all know each other and they have great chemistry. So,
Yeah.
so Dennis is portraying a military entomologist, which is an expert on insects.
Right.
And
Ah.
and so he has to throw his expertise into the pool of thought to make this new invention. And over here, the gentleman who is wearing the army shirt and who looks very, very happy because he's playing the part of Cullen, and he is also an actor. And his real name is Doug Petrick, and he has acted in a series out here. It's on Amazon. I think it's called No Way Out Part 2.
Okay.
And it's they all played Italian mobsters.
Cool.
Yeah. So now they're playing military scientists or whatever. But so Cullen's expertise is sort of making artificial tissue.
I can see where this is going, I think.
Yes, so
I might be completely wrong, but
well, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it gets very crazy. And you know, you already have a guess happening as to where it's going, and you might be right, you know.
Yeah.
But
So can I
yep.
just say, so if he's one guy that can animate anything, another guy that's an expert on insects, and what do you say the last guy did?
Cullen makes tissue. He makes synthetic tissue.
So so you could like
like fake skin.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah. So like armor, some sort of insects that's not really alive and it be animated and walk about, do stuff. I guess.
Fly. Sit like the fly.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for fun in this.
Yeah.
And of course there has to be a pub involved.
Of course.
Oh God.
Yes. Well, actually every base that I have been on or near, they always conveniently have a pub. That's always the closest business to the base. So you have to have a pub.
That's where they swap ideas though, isn't it, in the pub?
That's what sometimes that happens when people get, you know, when they have an extra beer or two. Yeah.
Yeah. They get a bit loose lipped and
Yep.
share things they're not supposed to.
Oh my.
Oh dear.
So all kinds of things can happen. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. That sounds really interesting. But is it gonna be easy to adapt that to
Adapted to screenplay?
Yeah.
You know, I got the screenwriter software.
Yeah.
Initially, it was much more difficult than I thought, and I forced myself to stick with it. And I am proud to report I have progress.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
And I am determined in 2025 to put together a bit of a trailer.
Oh.
And so that way I can introduce everyone properly to the characters and show a couple of little snippets of stuff to give a proper introduction. And then perhaps from there, I can get the series being filmed. But I think I will need to make the proper introduction into film first, so you guys can visualize it more.
Yeah. Cool. Now look forward to that.
Thank you. It's gonna. It's a lot of fun writing, and it's kind of hard to explain to people. You know, generally, like for a long time, my work was a baker and pastry chef, and there's some things about that can be very, you know, repetitive.
Yeah.
Like you're cracking an egg and you're putting it in a mixer, and then you have to do it again and again. And so if you're like me and you have no attention span, your mind wanders.
Yes.
And, you know, but there have been days I just can't explain this kind of thing to my coworkers. They're too busy bickering and all of that. When I just couldn't wait to get home and, you know, kill a character. You know, actually,
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
Kill 'em
nothing
off.
wrong with, killing someone as long as it isn't real,
Well,
but I mean,
exactly.
yeah, I sort of found myself looking forward to, not the typical American type of murder. I mean, we already had today, while all these drones were all over the place, we also had someone do another shooting. To me, that
Yeah.
gets kind of boring in cinema where it's just someone pulling a trigger and a big banging sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's overdone.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why we have an expert on insects in the base. Because,
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
yeah, you got
Is
much
that
more
It
interesting
is.
ways to
is that
dispose of someone.
is that released now? Is it, or is it coming up the
Yeah,
book?
yes, these are available on Amazon. Both of the books, the
Right.
base, and they're also available in audiobook.
Oh,
Oh,
I
good. I
like
an
audio book.
So do
Yeah,
I. Yeah.
Yeah, because
yeah,
I
the
drive
base.
for a living. It's easier for me I can listen to it while I'm driving about.
Oh, okay. The Sex, Death, and Diane is not an audiobook. It's just strictly written.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But the base, book 1 and book 2, which will come out just after New Year's, is going. Book 2, I think, the audio version will be coming out on the 3rd. But there'll be audiobooks as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Excellent.
And the narrator on that is awesome. He really, Steve Gannett he can portray so many different characters. I mean, there was a movie way back in the day called Sybil, where this lady had like, I don't know how many personalities. Remember?
Yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
the name
And
rings a bell. Yeah, the name rings a bell.
well, he has just such a range. I mean, he can do a young girl's voice, and then he can do an old drunk man's voice, and
No,
it's something else.
that's a talent on its own, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
because when that's kind of why I picked him. I mean, when I was listening to people, there was one guy who had all these different sound effects, and it was cool. But then when I heard the guy who could do that with his own voice, that was really cool. I mean, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Next level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So have you got any plans for any more books to come out or any screenplay?
Yeah, I am doing the screenplay for the base, and let me see. So the base, book 1, book 2, and I am writing book 3 as we speak, and that will also be translated into a screenplay.
Yeah. So you're going to do different seasons then for each book, or are you going to run it?
No, it can be. Well, there'll be different episodes, and however many episodes it takes to make up a season, it doesn't necessarily correspond to the length of the book.
Right, got you. Yeah.
Because
no, I was thinking you was doing one book per like season sort of thing.
No, it's going to be I think a season can be something like 7 to 10 episodes, depending, and if it means if all of book 1 plus the first chapter of book 2 is one season, then however they do that.
Right. Yeah, that'd be good, because then that'd be a step into the next season then, wouldn't it? Because that's what a lot seem to do, that, don't they?
Yeah.
Especially on Netflix.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying adapting it. I think that books you have to make it much more visual when you are adapting it. Everyone always complains that the book isn't exactly the same as the screenplay, and it's impossible to do that. Because you have to.
Sorry, just to say, with a book, anything can happen in a book. Anything can happen pen and paper. But when it comes to screenplay, you're limited to the visuals, aren't you?
Yeah, you're limited to that, but then also books have to be more visually descriptive.
Yeah.
But screenplays, because you've already supplied the visual elements, you don't have to say what mother was wearing, because you can see that.
See it. Yeah.
So there so the book a chapter sometimes takes up, like 30 pages.
Yeah.
But then when you adapt it to a screenplay, it can, take less than 10.
Yeah, because it's got to be more descriptive, hasn't it, as to what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because like I said, when you see the video, you already know what the mother looks like.
Yeah, and you can see what they're doing and
Yeah,
who they're with and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So screenplays are more action oriented, I think.
Yeah. So I suppose that'd be, like you said, that'd be more fun because you can be more in depth into what is going on rather than explaining what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. For instance, the Bugman's house is, we'll just say it's not typical.
Right.
It's not something that Martha Stewart would have or approve of.
Right.
It's rather different, and so is he.
Yeah.
But when I am envisioning, creating that on a set, the different things that he would have in that house. And the villains, the ones who run around and steal these things, they are very affluent because being a thief, especially in the type of stuff that they deal with, it's very rewarding financially.
Right.
They're not good people. There's a difference between financial rewards and, the other type of rewards. But so her house, is going to look very opulent. It's going to look, like something you see in one of those rap videos. I mean, she's gonna, something like that. Like really,
the indoor pool and the bar and open studio sort of thing.
Gold-plated toilet. Really? I mean, yeah.
Waterfall in the middle of the living area, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's gonna have the resources to get all these kind of crazy things. So imagining her house, and when a scene is going to take place in her house or where she goes to eat, she's not going through a drive-through window.
No MDs.
She's not dealing with plastic utensils and paper cups to eat from and stuff like that. No, not Venus.
Different level completely.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's kind of fun to to put all those things on the page, the screenplay and stuff.
Yeah. So have you got the ball rolling for doing the screenplay? Because I know you have to kind of rewrite it, don't you, from how it is in the book?
You do, because all of the descriptives go where you're explaining to the set designer and you're explaining to the cameraman and stuff like that. All of that goes off to the side, where as the actual script, the actual words that these people are saying to each other and stuff, that becomes the content.
Right.
That becomes what people hear and what people see.
Yeah. So do you think you have more fun doing the screenplay than you have doing the book, or is it a bit of a balance of the two?
I would say that writing a screenplay now is influencing writing book 3 very much.
Oh.
Because the content is becoming the conversations that the characters have, and the content is becoming somewhat similar to the screenplay.
Right.
It's more action oriented, and so I have found that I had to go back to a chapter and then, fill out the details, like what time of day is this happening and where is this happening and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I could now see like the whole pictures in my head.
Yeah.
But you, as a reader, you can't see that, and I have to supply that to you as a reader.
Yeah.
So I have to when I'm alternating between, doing the screenplay and then writing book 3, I have to remember that, I'm doing a book now. So I have to be, more descriptive. I can't go off of these little pictures and these, mini movies that I can see in my brain, I have to make sure that you could see that in your brain.
Cool. Tim, are you going to write a book?
Yeah, I have written a couple of short books. I've written one I've written one on stone tape theory. And what else did I write one on? Only short stories.
Yeah.
I can only do short stories because my brain starts to wander off. And
I could do a very short story. Probably not even a paragraph.
I've done a couple, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Kept that quiet.
Yeah.
So
not been published or nothing.
Should get them published. Stick them on Amazon.
Yeah, could do. Perhaps, I don't know.
Yeah, just do it on Kindle. Just stick it on Kindle and see how it goes. You don't have to get a hard
self-publish
copy.
books, can't you, these days?
Yeah, Amazon you can, yeah. Yeah, do that.
Don't know.
Get you all writing books and doing plays, and I struggle explaining who I am. But so sorry, Dante. Going back to the books and that.
Yeah.
How did you get to write in the first book? What inspired you to take that first step?
Well, I have written I've written a lot of things, but then one time, my friends just sort of encouraged me. They said, you should put this out, just stop showing a handful of us, put it out. And so that was Sex, Death, and Diane. I put it out.
Yeah.
And then after that, it kind of got to be addicting.
You got the taste of it.
Yes. They're like, you can actually say exactly when your next child is going to happen. Who else can do that?
Well, yeah. Predict the future. And you can change the future, and you can do whatever you want, can't you?
Yeah. That part is a lot of fun, that you can if you don't like the trajectory that a character is going on, you can eliminate them, or else you can go back in time and change things. I mean, wouldn't we all love to do that?
Oh, definitely.
There's that saying, the pen is mightier than the sword, isn't there?
Yes.
So you can do what you like with it.
Yeah. It's something else. It's it almost makes you wish that we, could do that sometimes, let's rewrite a passage of our life or something.
Yeah. It would be nice sometimes. But are you, so I know you said you're doing the third book. Have you got any plans on doing any factual books?
No.
No, just stick with the fiction and
that's actually what I read.
Here and there.
That's what I read.
Oh, right.
I read I generally stick with autobiographies or biographies.
Yeah.
And I've read some really fascinating ones,
Yeah.
And I was amazed at the life of Jesse Norman, the opera singer.
Don't know.
Okay, she was the first Black Wagnerian soprano.
Right. Okay.
Very, very dramatic voice and very intense. And she, fresh out of school and stuff, she started to go to Europe when the wall was still up.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so she spoke about some of her experiences. It was some of the things that she lived through. I remember she was in a hotel room, and she was just practicing the rhythm of what she was supposed to sing. She wasn't singing it, but she was just quietly looking at a manuscript and then just reading the words out in the proper rhythm, like Ave Maria, just reading like that. And she noticed that the clock that they had on the wall would start and stop every time that she spoke.
Wow.
Later they found out, because she was an American in an area that didn't really have Americans because of the Cold War and everything like that, that she was being spied on.
Wow.
They were recording her conversations and stuff. So she had some incredible experiences. That book is called Stand Up Straight and Sing.
Yeah.
And you know, she had you know, she did not live a cookie cutter life. I mean, she, you know, she took a leap of faith and she did things.
Yeah.
And it worked out for her. I mean, she did all of the things that you would have to do to be successful. I mean, she practiced and she studied other languages and everything else like that, so she would be pronouncing things correctly.
Yeah.
But there are videos of her on YouTube. She did perform at the French Olympics, and they gave her a very dramatic, I think it was the French Olympics or the French Centennial, I'm sorry. But they gave her a very dramatic outfit to wear, and she has just a tremendous presence. Like, I mean, you know, people stop and stare, and then she's got this big voice too.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Wow. That's interesting. See, I don't read. I've read a couple of biographies, but I kind of got bored after. I think I've read about 4 in total, and after that, I got bored of it. It's like, I don't know. It's just, it wasn't my thing.
I sometimes like the celebrity biographies a bit, because you know, I finished reading Pamela Anderson's,
right,
which was not anything what I thought it would be like. And then Rick Springfield.
Oh, right,
he was just sort of plucked from obscurity. I mean, he wrote that. These type of things don't happen anymore. It seems like music is more calculated now, that, you know, they already have the person and they already have everything picked out and packaged for them. It isn't like
it's all there ready. Yeah,
it's not like the song everyone's calling into the radio saying play that song. I mean, it's, people miss that era, but he did that song Jesse's Girl, and all of a sudden he was boom, success.
Yeah.
And I read Dave Grohl's autobiography.
Ooh, but that was interesting.
Highly recommended, because they were playing to what they called at the time alternative. When he started out in Nirvana. And basically the alternative people, they didn't have the fancy haircut. They weren't wearing the makeup and all this other stuff. They were just wearing old t-shirts, flannel shirts, and stuff like that. So he started out in these small, ratty clubs with Nirvana, and the audience looked just like they did. And then their song took off so quickly that all of a sudden they were playing a stadium, and there were all these rich kids dressed like them, you know, in the flannels. And he was wearing those t-shirts because he only had 2 t-shirts. And he was wearing, you know, the dirty jeans because he didn't get to wash his jeans and stuff. So now you're in a stadium and the whole audience is all these rich kids, and they're wearing t-shirts that they paid like $100 for, that are supposed to look old and dirty. And jeans already come with the rips in them. And stuff. And it was, you know, he, all of a sudden he was just propelled forward at rocket speed. And just, he went through so many things in the process, you know. Obviously Kurt is no longer with us. From Nirvana. And he was pretty mum on Courtney. You know, he didn't go into any of that, but then he decided, after all that happened, to lock himself in his basement and record the Foo Fighters album by himself, play every single instrument, every note.
Wow, didn't know that.
And he did it. So when you listen to the first Foo Fighters album, that's him.
Just him.
All him.
Wow. See, it's like I was saying, that these biographies that I was reading, it put me off reading them. But I was just thinking about, as you was telling me that about Dave Grohl, the ones that they were sports footballers and that, and they've all, it's like the same story, same background, but a different person. It was like, well, if he didn't play football, he'd end up in jail. If he didn't play football, I'd be out on the street. And it's the same background, the same everything about it. And it's like, it could be anybody. It's just a different person telling the story. But with that, that's kind of putting new light onto it. So I think I need to different people.
Yeah. And if you do want to read about someone who really did quite the metamorphosis, and he would have been in jail.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was he had a rough beginning. His single mother, very poor, lived in the projects, beating people up. Someone said, "Wow, that guy's good at beating people up." And so they decided to see if he could make a living at it. But it was interesting, though, that he had to study videos of other boxers.
Right.
They made him really study that stuff because he was, he had a natural knack for beating people up, but the rules in boxing are different. And then also you're in the ring with the rubber bands around it and stuff. And so, he got to make a living at beating people up, but he also was an intellectual. He's a really smart guy. And he trains pigeons. I don't know how you do that.
Oh. I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, but he trains pigeons. Like he'll train a pigeon to leap from his wrist, fly 25 miles away, and pick something up and then bring it back. Now we're not talking about drones anymore. We're talking about pigeons.
No, real live feathered birds.
Yeah, but how do you do that? I mean, how do you teach them to do all these things? But he's very good at training pigeons.
See, I know these people in the chat, and they can only just teach their dog to sit. So,
well, I know people who can't even control their kids.
Well, yeah, there's that as well.
That happens a lot too.
I'll tell you what, I'd like to read Stephen Fry's autobiography. I keep meaning to buy that. You know, Stephen Fry.
Oh, Sigmund Freud.
Stephen Fry.
He's an English actor, thespian, TV presenter.
Okay.
Yeah, he's quite famous over here. Stephen Fry. Yeah.
He did a show called QI. He's done a couple of.
Yeah.
He's written
very
a couple of plays, like theatre plays. He was in
as well.
Do you ever remember? Did you ever see Blackadder?
No.
He was in a couple of those.
Jeeves and Worcester.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys get that over here. It's BBC, so you probably would. This is back in the 80s.
I could maybe get it over on YouTube or on the internet. Sometimes these things wind up there.
I'll get you an image of him, just so you know.
Yeah, very clever man.
1 second.
So he can just pull an image up. He's so clever.
One minute. Just waiting for it to load. There we go. Right. And then share screen.
Okay.
Window. Share. There we go. This is him.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's one of the better looking photos.
Okay.
There wasn't. Yeah. So he's did he go to? I think he went to Oxford University, didn't he?
Yeah. He's a clever man. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but witty and very interesting life. So I reckon I will get round to reading that one day.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Stephen Fry. For those that didn't know who he was.
I read Sting's autobiography.
Loads of windows open.
Yeah, I loved him when I was.
That interests me because.
Yeah.
Because he was a teacher, wasn't he?
He was.
He was a teacher, very talented man.
Yeah, but he, in the beginning, his father would take him. His father was a milk delivery man, and that's a profession that has completely disappeared. So his father would wake him up at like 3 a.m. to bring the milk out to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he was in that great band, of course, the Police.
Yep.
Yes.
Mm.
So I was just going to say, I used to help my local milkman. I used to have to get up in the school holidays at like 4 o'clock in the morning. He'd pick me up at 5 o'clock and I'd go out and deliver the milk. That was it. That's just part of my growing up.
Yeah.
So me and Sting are like that.
Yeah. So that's how he.
Yeah.
That's how he started. He'd be in his long johns and in his heavy clothes in this little truck running out on people's stoops and putting the milk out there.
Putting the milk out, collecting the empties, jumping back in.
Yep.
In the little electric milk cart. That was battery operated. That was a drone on wheels. They're back to drones again.
Yeah.
Except he can sing and I can't.
Yeah, but his story was pretty interesting, and trying to think of another one that we would all know. I'm trying to think. Jimmy Carter, is he that well known over there by you?
Know of him, don't really know much about him.
Well, he became president here. He's 100 years old now.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he was the president before we had Reagan. But he started out, he had a spectacular memoir called An Hour Before Daylight. And he started working on his family's peanut farm. And they would wake everyone up an hour before daylight to get out on the farm and work.
Yeah. Well, the thing in the UK, just quickly, unless you're into politics, we don't even follow our own, so we're not going to follow another country's, are they? Without being rude or anything. It's like, we'll have heard of these people. It's like you have different senators and all that, where we have MPs and what have you.
Right.
So it's like when you say senator, 99% of the time we have no idea who or what you're talking about.
Well, most of us don't know either.
But it's like so we'll have like your MP of like whatever region. Like, no, I don't know who it is. Not got a clue.
Well,
and it's similar sort of thing.
It's kind of funny here that. Huh?
Sorry. Carry on. Sorry. I
thought you were.
Sorry.
No, you were saying something. Right. Oh, okay.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say each region has, like Northampton, you've got an MP for West and East as well, haven't you? And North, and you've got 4 of them within one little county. The MP for East and Northampton, and oh god, it's mad.
Yeah.
Mad.
Yeah, they breed like rabbits.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean,
pretty much.
Like they used to only have like 2 or 3 government people, and now it's like, miles. There's just so many of them, you can't keep track of it.
No, but unless you follow politics, then we, like I said, we're not even going to know who our own are, let alone anyone else's.
No, I ain't got a clue.
Well, his autobiography though was pretty funny, because the first election he ran in, he lost. And he went, and it was a local election in Georgia, one of our states here. And so he went to the office to find out why he lost, and he was going to challenge it. And it turns out that at that time, you were allowed to vote even 5 days after you were dead. And so the joke that we have here about the cemetery voting was actually true.
Wow.
And so he challenged that, and then they said, okay, then, you can only vote, until like one day after you're dead. And what that really means is like one of your relatives is voting for you, or someone is just putting your name in a ballot box or something.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I've never heard that before. Surprised you don't have that over here.
I didn't know any of that existed. It was always a joke, but I didn't know it was true.
Is a real thing. Right, quickly. We're on the 2-hour mark now.
Okay.
So we're going to have to wrap it up. So go on quickly, Tim.
I was just going to say he had a UFO sighting, didn't he, Jimmy Carter?
Mm-hmm.
He saw a UFO.
Yes, and he was going to declassify all that.
Yeah, yeah.
He said that he was going to declassify all the UFO documents and everything, and he was prevented from doing so. So there you have it, another conspiracy and another theory.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So we will end it on that before the word drone pops up again. So massive thank you,
You're
Dante,
the one who's mentioned it the most.
I'm doing it on purpose now. So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for changing how we was going to do the show initially. So I do appreciate
it.
I really enjoyed.
Yeah, and thank you, Tim, for coming on and showing us what it looks like to live in the Bahamas, even though I know you're not. But anyway.
Well, I'm pretending, and I.
He's making us jealous because we're cold.
I know. He's like a mile and a half up the road from me, something like that. Big difference.
I always wear my shorts too. I'm still in shorts.
And he's got that tropical plant in the background too.
No.
Yeah.
It's like he looks like he's in Margaritaville.
I know.
And I've got my fire there, look. Got my fire.
Oh, okay.
Living flame. Oh, yes. So thank you both so much for coming on. So
thank you.
The books are Sex, Death, and Diane.
Right.
And then the base and
the base book 1, and then book 2 is coming out.
2. That's it.
Yep, so far.
Fabulous. I'm going to definitely look that face up.
And then they're going to be adapted to screenplay, and you're in the middle of writing book 3.
Absolutely.
So all the links are in the channel, in the show description. So I just want to say again, a massive thank you for coming on.
Thank you for anyone
having me. It's a pleasure. And for those who didn't know, enjoy the rest of your birthday day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I didn't want to do it too soon. So yeah, absolute thank you. Thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's downloading on Podcast Player. Really do appreciate it. And I will be back on Wednesday with Nicole, and we're going to be talking to Reverend Wild Bill. He was in the chat earlier. I think he's still in. I'm hoping that he's remembered he's on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we're doing our Christmas special. So if you do still want to partake in that, you can send in your drawings of Krampus. And all you have to do is take a photo of your hand, foot, nose drawing, whatever. You've got to have drawn it yourself. No cheating.
I could do that. So
you can either email it to me at andy@alienate.uk, messenger, message, WhatsApp, whatever way of contacting me, and I'm going to load them all up. You've got a good sense of humour, that's all I'm going to say. So I need to have them in by 12 noon UK time. That's 7 a.m. EST. So I've got quite a few in already. So we're doing the Christmas special, and it's going to be in black and white as well. So it's going to be fun. And then that's it then. Nothing then for 2 weeks, having a break over Christmas and New Year. Then get ready for all the projects of next year, which is going to be non-stop. So,
cool.
But thank you so much, Dante. Thank you, Timothy, for co-hosting. We're going to wrap this up now. So thanks again. Thank you to Og for moderating. Everyone else in the chat, thank you for coming in and listening to us drone on. Sorry, I had to end it with that. So see you Wednesday at later time of 8:30 p.m. UK time, 3:30 EST. If you guys can stay on once we end this, and then have a quick chat. So everyone else, see you Wednesday. Take care. Goodbye.
Goodbye.